If you want to be inspired and empowered, watch this video. One of my favorite people ever, the diamond-studded Grand Marshal of Pride Toronto twice, an art collector with over 60 pieces in his Andy Warhol collection only, known as Gala Salah for hosting over 100 fundraisers. Salah Bachir is an outstanding inspiration to the LGBT community and to humanity. So today I am so excited to talk with Salah Bachir about his new book, First to Leave the Party, My Life with Ordinary People Who Happen to Be Famous. Welcome, Salah. Thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you very much. Nice to see you. We've been wanting to do this for a while, right? And
It's
we're here.
been, I think, over 10 years I've been trying to get another meeting with you. So I'm so excited to be talking to you again. What was it that inspired you to write the book?
I was in the hospital. I had a kidney transplant, and
Um,
I got sepsis after that, and so I had an ileostomy and a bag on the outside and the whole bit. And during rehab, I started to write these little tidbits on of stories I had told all the time on social media and during COVID, kind of lift people up and to remind people of all these amazing legends have done amazing things that we've forgotten about. And it turned into a memoir, and that went further. And so I'm telling my story through my encounters with other people.
Nice. I love it. I mean, I looked at the list of people in your book. There's Marlon Brando, Muhammad Ali, Liberace, Margaret Atwood, Cesar Chavez, Andy Warhol, Princess Margaret, Paul Newman, Joan Rivers, Mary Tyler Moore, Aretha Franklin, and Elizabeth Taylor, and more. That's mind-boggling. Where did you meet all these people?
Well, I was in the video industry and the film industry and fundraising, a lot of fundraising that we did with Variety Club in Toronto. They'd be filming, and sometimes an interview. When you're doing a story, you've got a deadline as well as someone else has a deadline. And you just want to get a story and they have a stories to tell. And in the old days, sometimes they hung around more or wanted to do more. Or like Marlon Brando, I was sent to The Freshman was filming in Toronto on Rexdale Boulevard, where I worked as a kid and grew up in Rexdale. And in the home video industry, you would do the interview the same time as the press junkets for the movie, and then you bank it for 6 months. So it used to be the theatrical release and then the video release. And so I was sent to interview Matthew Broderick, who was the hot thing. And I just saw Brando sitting there and started talking to him. And I drew up a friendship with him. And he came to my parents for a barbecue. And I got to know him for a few days. So that
Wow.
is through things
So is
like
that how
that.
you got into the industry? Were you just in journalism is that how you got started, or how did you get started?
I got started in the video industry years ago. We ran one of the first video magazines in Canada called Video Mania, and then I did Premiere and famous Quebec, famous kids, Cineplex magazine, and Star Cineplex at the end. So yeah, in the home video, I started with in the home video business, and I'm going to turn this off. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so that's how I started and continued in the film world and became friends with some of these people. But also I tried to tell the story because I was at the end of my career and of body image and how we had dismissed people, and somebody like Brando or Elizabeth Taylor or, even Ella Fitzgerald, they're too heavy or they're too, and there was all these jokes like Joan Rivers and different people like, which are really offensive in a way. So Joan
Yes,
Rivers
agreed.
doesn't do well in the book. Two people don't well, James Stewart and Joan River.
So what happens do you want to tell us more, or do you want to about one of those stories?
Well, we
What was the
hired
most
Joan.
juiciest story or the most empowering story from the book, would you say?
I mean, they're all empowering in a way. They're all people who gave, different things and not necessarily the same um, kind of that reputation that they have. But Joan Rivers was on a treadmill. I was trying to be funny and cutting hurt people. It hurt a lot of people. I mean, I had a We had a gala with Elizabeth Taylor was filming with Carol Burnett a film called Between Friends in Toronto, and she couldn't go to an event because she felt too fat because she had heard some of those jokes, and
Oh,
Carol in for her, and so it's a lot of stuff that similar things like with Orson Welles and other different people, and a lot of empowering, yeah, moving stories. It's not a gossip. I never liked gossip. I didn't care who sleeps with whoever, and so all our magazines were not there wasn't gossip in them, and then it not who what are you wearing or what are you doing over it. I hate people who spend $1,000 on ripped jeans. I worked at a community center where people had one pair of jeans to wear, and the rips came naturally,
yeah.
and so yeah. So it's a little bit commentary on the culture and how we cancel and
Mm.
hold up certain people for ridicule for gaining weight or looking funny or different things like that.
Right. So you're actually using the book as a platform to make a point. What would be I guess the deepest point you would say that you would love to, if you could sum up the book in just one sentence, what's the message that you hope people are going to take away from it?
It is wow, that's a tough one in one
Yeah.
sentence. It's my life's work in a way, all in one book. It's giving back and being supportive and not dismissing people just on gossip or on one little thing. I mean, Elizabeth Taylor, everybody, when you think of Elizabeth Taylor, the image we have is that she's kind of dumb and whatever, and she had all these 8 marriages. Elizabeth Taylor knew her jewelry incredibly well, knew her art very well. Her father was an art dealer, and he had a gallery in Beverly Hills, and Greta Garbo was one of his clients. And she could go to an art gallery and identify different art and collected really, really well. And despite everything, she was in a lot of pain. And it's one of survival and one of strength, in that she was in a lot of pain for a lot of her movies, and she has several death-defying illnesses. You don't hear about things like that. Or Doris Day. You dismiss when you think of what do you think of Doris Day when you think of Doris Day? Is she relevant to anybody? Like it's like America's sweetheart, this little, white kind of blonde, fake blonde or real blonde star who of gone. But Doris Day had the best numbers ever. Like she was top box office for 4 years. Nobody's done that. She was 9 out of 10 years top Billboard female artist. But on top of all that, Doris Day was the first person to embrace AIDS publicly. She hugged Rock Hudson in 1985. He came onto her show. She had a show on the Christian Broadcast Network, an animal show, and as her first guest, she invited her old friend Rock Hudson, and it came out in the press and he had AIDS and he was gaunt and frail. She hugged him, and then when the show aired, he had died. And
Ah,
but to her Christian network audience, she said, if there is a heaven, Rock Hudson's in heaven. And like
ah.
you think of everything today and what's going on in the world and all the anti-gay hate and all of that. It's like these are people who stood up for, had principles and stood up for them and fought for them.
Mm,
That's
beautiful.
yeah.
I'm getting tingles down my spine as you share that. Thank you. Yeah, and especially in the Christian community, that can be a very hard thing because that's where a lot of the homophobia comes from. So,
Yeah,
wow,
event.
good on her back then, especially.
There are stories in that I didn't read the book for the audiobook myself. I asked, Anne Marie McDonald, her work, Fall on
Hmm.
Your. So Anne Marie has read the audiobook version of it. Yes, years ago, I was reading Fall on Your Knees, and her mom is Lebanese, and sometimes when I
Oh,
read some of the stories in it, I couldn't read them out loud. I couldn't even read them out loud to my husband because I started to cry about them and the memories. And So we approached her and she agreed to read it. So
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, when I saw her name on the Audible, which I pre-ordered for the yeah, I was just like, wow, good on you to hire her to do that. So that's fantastic. What would you say when you mentioned yeah, her mother being Lebanese, and then you immigrated when you were 10, right? To Canada.
yeah.
What would you say in your lifetime? What were some of the biggest challenges, or what was the most challenging moment, one of the most challenging moments that you ever faced, and how did you get through it? What helped you through it?
Well, I think homophobia is always there. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like the opening of the book. The first line in my prologue is, "I knew I was gay when I was 8." And then I found
Mhm.
out I was an Arab when I was 12, when I was hanging out at a chum's house or a friend's house, and his father said, "What's that dirty Arab doing here again?" And so,
Oh,
yeah, so I mean, that's always, movies portray Arabs as terrorists, and Arabs become like a four-letter word. But the homophobia, even in business, no matter how successful you are, if you wear jewelry or you do something, you're they want to leave you off of boards or don't want you to present. And there's people who are secretly embarrassed by their, no matter how successful you become. And I
yeah,
think
and
that,
didn't one of your projects take off to be worth over $1.5 billion dollars?
yeah, I this Scene Loyalty Program and a program with Scotiabank. Yeah, and I've raised about $1 billion for different charities and stuff. So
Wow. Which is huge. So, but you're very out. I mean, I love your diamond necklace. I'm always one of the things I love about you is I've told so many of my friends, you know what, if I could have chosen my older brother, totally would have been Salah Bashir. I've told so many people that, and I thought, well, I should probably tell
I'm
you
still
that.
open to it.
What's that?
I'm still open to it.
Awesome. Let's adopt each other. Let's do
All
this.
right, on.
I was like, let's see if I can out femme Salah today. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
You look great. Look,
Thank
years
you.
ago, um
I'm gonna
I
lose my
was
lesbian credibility.
I'm an honorary lesbian.
Yes, you are.
I remember when I had gained weight and we were in a bar in Berlin and everybody was like size zero and the bartender was a bigger lesbian with two lesbian bartenders, and I walked in with a friend and she yelled in English, every now there's a man. Like suddenly there's free drinks from these, and I said, "Hi, have we met or do we know each other?" "No, why would we meet?" It's like, "I don't even know who you are." But I think visibility and, being who you are and out there, and this is who I am. And yeah,
I think if we had more men like you in the world, Sally, we would have more, I think we would have world peace. You know, you've integrated yourself in such a powerful way. Like here you are, proudly with your huge business success and your diamonds, and to me that was, I got to say that when I first met you, I was astonished at how successful you'd been and how out you were. And you've been a massive inspiration in my life ever since, and I've told countless people about you. I think it's amazing. So have you always been out at work, or how did you in your career, how did you manage that?
you don't have to be out for certain people to realize you're gay, and sometimes we're the ones that are the last that want to admit it. And
Mm,
at the beginning
right.
of my career, I wasn't totally out. I had like three different sets of friends, and I had my, you know, gay friends that I hung out with. I had my work people that, I was coy about. And one of the first invitations when we were in the video industry, it was a plus one. And, it included a huge junket somewhere, and it was to London. So I brought a friend who was down on her luck and stuff like that. And, we had double beds. And on the first dinner, it was Orion Pictures with BBC Films. And they had the guy who's Paul Wagner was organized, that leaned over and said, "You could have brought a guy." And it was like, oh, but older people in my life and in the video industry and different places, even my parents, who were very open when I came out to them, said you really need to be open. People need, if it's a model or you inspire someone, or just be who you are. And it's amazing, great to see all the younger people doing that today and being out there, and really lovely to see.
So you came out to your parents and they were totally like right from the beginning, they were fine?
Wow, that's weird, isn't it? I feel bad with friends. I've had so many friends sleep over who went to tell their parents something and they threw them out. And you
Yeah.
must know the experiences. I came out to, they knew, they always knew. And I told my dad, and he said, "Don't tell your mom, she won't get it." And I said,
Mm.
I already told mom." He said, "Why? I'm your best friend." And
Aw.
so, okay, don't cry here. All my mom said to me was, "All I want is for you to have a child who's been half as nice to you. It will be half as nice to you as you have been to us." And it was like,
Ah.
"What?" And there was,
Oh,
and then my dad
wow.
was very funny. So it would be like when someone came, I brought somebody over, a friend or something, or we're going somewhere, and he'd say to the person, "Nice shoes," and they look at me in Arabic and say, "Should I be nicer to him than anybody else?" I said, "No, no, he's not. He's just a
Ah,
friend."
so he was like expecting them to be a partner or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that is super sweet. What got them on board, do you think? Why were they so cool?
They love their children. I mean, they're unconditional love to all their five kids, and we put them through a lot, and you know, and I think parents know early on, and those who don't want to admit it just don't, are probably wishing their kids weren't gay, but I think they know early on.
Yeah. What was a moment where you managed to challenge homophobia? What was like the biggest moment where you went, I'm not going to take this. I'm going to stand up to this, or where you got support to do that?
Well, gay marriage, we put we I ran the media business for the theaters, famous players, so we put on screen where you couldn't escape it, watching it, you're a captive audience. Like, I do means the same whether you're gay or straight. And
I love that.
call your MP on, the whole marriage proposal in Canada to pass parliament. And so I got death threats and all
Mm.
kinds of stuff. I wasn't allowed to answer my phone. My office and colleagues took over. People would want to come and walk my dog with me because people would be following and take pictures. And I said, I'm okay. It's not, but a lot of them were not people. Somebody, with identical back then, somebody from Florida or Alabama would say, "I'm not going to go to your theaters anymore." And you say, "Okay, which one did you see last?" But I got a lot of support as well. So there was tons of people that. So I mean that was a major one that for us to do.
Yeah, when I got the 2 million people on I don't know if we had already connected by then, but I got 2 million people on a Facebook group for same-sex marriage, and I also got death threats, and it was terrifying.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was, yeah, because you never know just how serious this person is.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing it kind of again now because I'm putting pronouns on the cover, which is the first time ever.
Yes, I
And,
love that. I saw that. Yeah.
and I was surprised nobody's done it. And it's like such a, you look at books that we had around, like, your gender identity, blah, blah, books teaching people about gender. And it's like, okay, so what's Leslie? Is Leslie a guy, or like who wrote this? And we always expect people transitioning or being fluid, identifying themselves, but that's something you can't just ban. Margaret Atwood puts her pronouns on, although she's being banned quite a bit. But maybe that's you can't ban a book just for having a pronoun on the cover. Yeah, I don't think.
I
Yeah,
hope not. Oh my God, there's so many languages where there are no gendered pronouns. Like when I was volunteering in Alberta and the kids were Cree, even 10-year-olds would get mixed up between he and she. Why? Because they don't have gendered pronouns in their first language in Cree. And it'd be nice to just change it all to Z. I kind of like Z as my pronoun, but people are like, what? What does Z mean? So it's going to take a while for that one to come in, for sure.
Yeah.
What would you, if you could have anything happen with this book, with your pronouns on it, what would be your dream? Like what would you love to have happen with it?
Um, that everybody gets a chance to read it. A lot of people get a chance to read it. I mean, if it makes a ton of money, I'm gonna donate most of it. So part of the proceeds of the book are being donated to the Human Rights Watch LGBT program across the world. And so, yeah.
I don't even know
Oh,
about that one. What's it
yeah.
called? Human Rights Watch?
Human Rights Watch, the organization Human Rights Watch,
Okay.
and so they have an LGBT rights program across worldwide. I work with a lot of different aides and like the and 519 and community centers, but I thought this was an organization that works worldwide, and that some of the proceeds from the I will donate them personally, not the publisher, but will be donated there.
Wow, beautiful. So the idea is kind of like, is it a bit like how are they
Watch is
promoting
like
human rights?
Amnesty International. It's
Okay.
similar to Amnesty, but it's a stronger organization with field workers all over the world. So not only do they report on rights abuses everywhere and not just sexual, but they have an LGBT rights program specifically.
Beautiful. Yeah, we really need that. I mean, that was one of the that was the second largest group I started years ago, and then Facebook got rid of it, but it was called Declare UN Human Rights for All Sexual Orientations.
Yeah.
And Facebook got rid of it a few years ago. I translated in Spanish, French, English, and German, and it was about 5,000 people or so. And we still need that. We need the UN human rights, and then we need, I think, some grassroots way of connecting as well.
Yeah.
What would you
Yeah.
love to see if you could create a legacy, any kind of legacy? If you could make one thing happen in the world, what would that be?
I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that known for. I'm not. I mean, just everybody should try and help out where you can. Anything that you can doesn't have to be on a grand scale. Doesn't have to be something spectacular. Just a small, like there's people in need all the time, and people going through a lot of. You don't know what someone internally is going through, depression or other things. Just to watch out and trying to help wherever you can, in any small way, any large way, anything we can do. But
If we were to take the book and turn it into a master class that could inspire and empower people, what would be the number one result you would like to empower people to get from it?
um, I I mean, for me, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the community about allies and being an ally, but we define what other people should do, and we shouldn't do that. Allies should be allies, period. You shouldn't try and say, well, you should say this instead of saying that. Like, when even like something like a united front, like they, to defeat the Germans and the Nazis, it's like you bring who you are to my tent. I'm not gonna, you can only enter if you know your pronouns, if you know this, or if you admit that, or stuff like that. And I think, if anything else, that you pick an issue and different backgrounds. You can be Democrat, Republican. I mean, obviously, you can't be a fascist, but you wouldn't be there in the first place. But we don't shouldn't be like, I don't know all the pronouns people want to use. I don't know sometimes all the letters. I've been around forever. You know, I'm
LGBTQIAQ2SA something?
yeah, and you can add whatever you want. And then, I when somebody says like, "Oh, I'm tired of woke culture," I had to look up what woke was, and it's like, so you prefer being a bigot, or like, what is it exactly? Like, so I think just there's power in support and numbers and relationships. Obviously, relationships always are amazing, and don't dismiss anyone just because, oh, they said this one small thing, or at one point. I mean, it is, if we're gonna win, we have to be a huge united front. of multi-colors, multi ideas, everything, but united on one issue. So
Beautiful. Unite to win.
yeah,
Yeah. Including everyone. I love that.
yeah. I mean, I think there's I studying history in university and political science, and then the United Front against the Nazis included, Stalin and Churchill and Roosevelt and other countries, and there was an issue to defeat the Nazis, and I think sometimes we so and so we've become so radicalized that we think, oh, we're each person setting in a different agenda and without achieving, you know, fighting hate, fighting the evangelicals and everything like. And we should push that nobody should have that tax-free status. No one who's spewing hate. If you have a law, uphold your law. So if somebody,
Right?
yeah, attack the source, like we should all live tax-free or not tax-free. And so I don't care which god or goddess or animal you pretend you represent. You break the law, you break the law. There's one law for everybody. And so,
Right. Oh my God. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I love this. I love this. Maybe we need like an LGBT version of the did you hear about the spaghetti pastafarians? Did you hear about them?
no. Oh, it loves pasta? Is that what it is? Or no?
Yes. So there was somebody who was saying, "Oh, we need to have prayer in the schools, prayer in the schools." And this guy says, "Okay, well, if you're going to have prayer in the schools, then you need to include my religion, which is all about a flying pasta god in the sky or something like this. And we want pasta strainers on our heads as part of our religion." And he just wrote this thing, and so many people liked it that he actually did start a religion and registered it and everything. So you can become, it's a joke, but you can actually become a pastafarian, and you can get your license with your spaghetti strainer on your head.
Oh, cool.
I think we need a gay version of this, an LGBT version of that. Start our
That would
own
be,
religion, maybe, and so that we can get the tax free and or just a kind religion, you know,
uh,
just where it's just about kindness and yeah, nobody gets tax free because of their spewing hate. I'm so with you on that. My father was a minister using that platform and high up in the church and Presbyterian church in Canada, and he actually well, I don't know how much I should say because it's being recorded. But he wrote some articles in the Presbyterian Record in Canada when I was 15 years old and about the LGBT community, and I don't remember them fondly. I'll just say that much.
well, in the old days, I mean, the bathhouse or the parks that people used to go to, and imagine when you're cruising in a park, and I was brought up gay, not gay, I was brought up Greek Orthodox, and my minister was there, big hunky muscular minister, and he just talked about family values the week before, and it was like, hi.
Hey boy, did you
But,
did you try anything?
and this did I well, yeah.
And should I ask how it
I
went?
had communion. No. No.
No way.
But so Jimmy Stewart, lovely Jimmy Stewart, America's whatever, all American, like betted almost everybody in Hollywood. He forced Marlene Dietrich to have an abortion. And so you're sitting there talking about family values, and he was best friends with the Reagans, and before Ronnie ever mentioned AIDS, and he also told names as part of the McCarthy era. He named names,
Of gay
and
people. I'm just
I guess
clarifying for the young people who might not know what the heck we're talking about.
like well names about
He's
people who were in the Communist Party who were blackballed for life, or like in the time of the witch hunt of the McCarthy era, right? And so, and you're thinking this, so how do you watch It's a Wonderful Life with that? Did Who actually won? Did the bankers,
uh,
so so that's covered in the book and going to meet him, but we also have some letters and messages that people gave us during the height of AIDS, that we, put in bottles and raised money with and stuff like that. So there is all of that kind of dichotomy of people who, push their family values on people, but their own kind of don't stand up.
Yeah, kindness, loving kindness is the only true family value.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you could inspire and empower a billion people with just two words, what would you say?
Can I have more of that too?
Okay, three or four. Up to
Well, I
five.
mean, it's so all of my posts during Instagram and on Facebook when I was sick and telling some of these stories ended with love SJB. And so that it's if there was, you love yourself in a sense to start with, and then you can love others. I mean, appreciate who you are, your strength in what you are and don't sell yourself short. But in order to start loving other people, you have to be comfortable in who you are and to love yourself.
Oh my God, I love that. Do you know that that's actually the title of my book?
Is
It's
it
called
really?
Love You, Your
Oh
Treasure Map to
wow.
Your Great Purpose. Yeah, and it's all about self-esteem, the three steps to self-esteem. In fact, I would love to give you an online version of that and ask your opinion on it. Can I send you that link?
I would love that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that would be, I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Is there anything that you would suggest, any sort of success secrets that you would care to share with some of the entrepreneurs who might be listening, especially the LGBTQ entrepreneurs who are looking to take their business to the next level? Like, what was one of the things that you did to go to take your business to the next level?
Build your relationships and rely on people. And if there's a Marxist quote that relationships are capital, and so getting to know somebody, and if you're involved in the community and doing stuff, then people want to work with you. People want to work with good people, and they want to know you're giving back. And oftentimes I became close friend. I'm still close friends with a lot of clients who and friends, and they would call you first on what they should do and how they should do. And sometimes everybody has a purpose. Let me take you to lunch and have these big ideas or want something. Just take people to lunch and don't ask for anything. Sometimes they'll give you stuff, but keep up that relationship. Know what your wife's name is, know the kids, or just try. And now with before we had to write notes everywhere, but now with computers and everything else, it's easy. And but again, people want, like, if you're a compassionate, caring person, things will come back to you because then you can listen, you can reach out to somebody, you know somebody well enough, that hey, I need a help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be, and that's always it's the same thing. I think it was of human relationships all the time. People.
What was a time when you asked for help and it worked out well for you?
Old friend of mine, a good friend of mine. Early, I've asked for help all the time. I've got another call after this asking for help. But when we needed a building, the call asking for help after this is for a charity though. When I was first starting out and we didn't think we can make it, but we needed to expand and do some other things. I talked to, openly to my best friend at the time, who's passed away, Dan Tao, and about wanting, and he said, well, it turns out we want a bigger office. Why don't I give you ours, which had a warehouse in the back, so we can do more? I said, I can't afford it. Well, I'll give you an interest-free mortgage. Just pay when you can.
Wow.
What? And he said, it'll help us then move to another place and do something else. And so that that worked out amazing. And even getting contacts, recommended. The forwards for the book are written by Alan Cumming and Adam McGoyan. So, I mean, I asked Margaret Atwood if she would read it, and she said yes. And then she tweeted about it, saying how amazing it is and stuff like that. So, those are,
Nice.
yeah.
That is super, super exciting. Yeah, I find for me, it's so much easier to ask for help for other people sometimes than,
Yeah.
yeah, like my friend Ali is this amazing lesbian filmmaker here in Costa Rica, and I've been wanting to bring more work to her so that she can relax a little and take better care of her health because a lot of people in film are just run ragged to the point
Yeah. Yeah.
of having health issues, right? So I don't want to disclose too much, but I want her to relax and would love to. So if we were to create a movie about you, about your life, what kind of genre would it be?
Kind of drama
Genre.
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 Wow. I mean, there's a couple people who want to do documentaries I haven't said yes to. Um,
Pardon
I,
me?
a couple of people wanting to do documentaries, and but I haven't said yes to that.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, on your friend, I'm married to an artist, and there's so much anxiety because they're putting their whole life out there, and and we judge everything so quickly, and we have curators and critics, and it can't just exist. It's not like you walk in a beautiful park. Well, that tree shouldn't be there. You don't do that, and people should be open and get out of it whatever you can, and not. But my film would be totally weird and not a single part of it about me. It was just like a psychedelic kind of.
Psychedelic. Okay.
That'd be cool, just like a whole big splashy piece of art, kind of abstract, and say that's about Salah. It's like, oh, I get it. Like, yeah.
And what would be the title?
Gone are my Salah days. No, pearls make the man. I don't know.
And why did you turn it so people wanted to create documentaries about you and you turned them down?
I'm not ready yet. I'm not. I'm waiting for Scorsese to call. Bastard hasn't called yet.
Okay. And
No,
in
I'm just got the book out and having fun with it, talking to people about it. And did I tell you I'm in the National Enquirer?
no, how's that
There's a
going?
October 2nd. There's a 2-page spread in the National Enquirer.
Wow.
It's like,
They're kind of like Fox News, the Canadian equivalent of Fox News for the Americans who are watching, wouldn't you
no,
say?
this National Enquirer is in the States, and so,
Oh,
but
that's right. Yeah.
they've gotten better.
Oh,
They
really?
they they were bought out, and a friend of mine's ex was like, now they're trying to be a lot more not so right wing, but still gossipy and fun. So I follow like alien mummies. The cover is about people who shot JFK, and a friend of mine who helps out because who helps out on wrote the spread, and it's a special way of writing for the National Enquirer. Like, so the story on James Stewart was Horn Dog James Stewart. And I love it.
No way. Okay.
Yes. And October 2nd, and she got away with the whole spread on the book and me with it. And they're going to publish it. And it's the day before my birthday. So, like, I'm sure Margaret Atwood hasn't had a double page spread in
Oh my God. When's your birthday?
October 3rd.
October 3rd. Well, happy birthday in advance. Wild. That is so fun. I mean, I think Alien Mummies would make a good title for a, what did you say? Alien Mummies, right?
Yeah, Alien.
For a documentary or even a music video. I think that could work for a rock band or I think we need a
Yeah,
rock band after you, named after you. What do you think?
it depends, but yeah, I, I I think my husband thinks I'm a reincarnation of Bacchus because I love red wine, I love grapes. So it's
How is your husband doing, by the way?
He's great. He's really good. He's
Okay.
we have a 24-year-old daughter that he went and had lunch with her at university today. He's doing well. So,
Wow,
and
that's
the dog
awesome.
hasn't barked at all. The dog's sleeping on the couch and hasn't barked. So that's a good thing too, right?
Right? That's a tiny miracle. Like
Yeah.
anything can happen. It's a good sign. It's definitely a good sign when the pets are on board and helping out. Speaking of miracles, if you could have one miracle happen in your life and then maybe spread it to empower millions, what would be that one thing that you would that seems almost impossible that you would love to have happen? I think miracles happen when someone loves themselves 100%.
I had a miracle of surviving sepsis. I had a miracle of with it medically with the
I
kidney
didn't hear
transplant
that. Surviving which?
sepsis, which is a bacteria after I had a kidney transplant.
Ooh, wow.
So then they had to do another surgery, and I had the bag on the outside that I covered ileostomy. I think healthcare. I think if we had not stopped the stem cell research, giving people greater access to healthcare and more equity, and food security. I think the biggest thing for so many people, if we could actually, as a basic thing, is feed everybody to start that. If I could invent a pill or something that has all the nutrition that you need, or whatever, or be able. I mean, we can feed the planet, and a lot of people think we're killing ourselves and killing, our existence. So
I love that feeding everyone. I mean, I've gone from being homeless and hungry to having my first 13K day where I, made $13,000 in sales in one day. And so I feel that so strongly, the importance of feeding everyone, because I'm just an example of one person who has gone hungry at times, because there was no food security. And what a waste. This was after inspiring 2 million people to support same-sex marriage.
yeah,
But to just, if you feed someone, that someone might have the cure for cancer or the cure for kidney disease or the cure uh, for diabetes or the cure for any of that. But if they're hungry, they're not going to be able to offer it to the world. So yes, I love that food security idea. I mean, I had a really wild idea because I like to. Do you want to hear what it is?
sure.
What do you think about the idea of paradise miracles? Like seeing if we could cure or start to reverse kidney disease and diabetes through diet and self-love. Do you think that's possible?
Well, I mean,
Three
I
states
don't,
in Costa
I don't
Rica.
want to, yeah, I mean, it would be great, but I don't want, you see I sometimes I hate when someone says like somebody has cancer, but they're a fighter. It doesn't matter if you're a fighter or not. It's still a disease. You don't want to blame the victim,
Oh,
right?
agreed. Right.
And I think lifestyle, sometimes people always think like lifestyle is the cause of diabetes, or sometimes, but a lot of these things are inherited, and a lot of these
True.
things can be dealt with. And then yeah, the climate change, of course. I mean, a lot of people are going to burn in areas of the poorest in the world. Like if you're an Elon Musk and you can protect yourself and not looking after. I mean, as a whole, I mean, someone said at one point, I'm not sure whose quote it is, that the definition of democracy is how you take care of your poorest people. It's not like how
Yeah.
you take care of all the marginalized people. That's what defines what a democracy is. And so I don't know who said it. I should I always attribute things to other people, but sometimes it's not. But
I would love that. You know what? I love the idea of feeding everyone and making delicious, nutritious, healthy food available to everyone. I mean, where I'm in Costa Rica, there are kids who need good food. I mean, you know, the same thing as in Toronto. I worked with
Yeah.
kids in the school system where I asked them, if you could have any dream, what would you dream of? What could you, if you could have anything happen in the world? You know, I was the psychometrist for the French school board at the time. And he said, food for my family.
Yeah.
And I went, wow. Yeah. Yeah. So I actually taught him some entrepreneurial skills and he was 12 and I got him started with his own business because I tried to get a food program into the schools and the schools are like, no, 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 we don't have time. We don't have energy for that. And I'm like, but we're pouring all this money and time into trying to educate kids who are hungry. Why don't we just feed them? And they wouldn't do it. So I gave them some entrepreneurial skills. And that's a great way to give them a fish instead of just teach them a fish instead of giving them a fish, right?
Yeah.
Or that's a bad metaphor for a vegan, but you know what I'm trying to say here. I got to come up with a new metaphor for that. Teach them to buy
Grow the
coconuts.
tomato. Grow the tomato instead of giving them tomato.
There we go. Thank you. That was better. I like that. Much better. Much better.
Mm.
So, is there any other things that you would like to say to the listeners about the book or about inspirational ideas, empowering words that you have to add?
Well, if they have any questions after they read it, we can reconvene. We can. I made that promise earlier this week when someone said, "Would you come back after people read it and if they send in a bunch of questions?" And I said, "Sure." So I can make you that same promise if you want.
I would
We're
love
up,
that.
we're up to.
Absolutely. I can't wait till like it's when it said October 17th. I went, I can't wait till October. I'm going to read this now.
I'll send you an EPK after this that has the manuscript in it.
Oh, perfect. Okay, fantastic. All right, yeah, let's do a trade and then I'm sure I'm going to get more and more and more questions. Would you like to come back on the video
I would
interview
love to.
to
I'd
Speak
love to.
Inspire TV? That
Sure.
would be great. I would absolutely love that. And any other ideas that you want to collaborate on, just let me know. I would love to talk to you again. And so for the listeners, if you can like, share, and comment below with any questions that you have for Salah, anything you want to know about his book, his life experience, his incredible success, and his kindness and generosity. I hope that you're just as inspired by Salah as I am. I look up to him as a fantastic mentor for the LGBTQ community and for the world. If you have any comments, questions, please put them in the comments below. And make sure that you click the link if you'd like to check out Salah's book as well. Also, if you'd like to be on Speak Inspire TV, you can click the link, the other link below. Thanks. You make a difference. You deserve to speak, inspire, and prosper.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being here, Salah.